Hey everyone, it's that time of year again. So this video, I'm just going to be giving my predictions on who's going to win the Stanley Cup, bracket challenge style. Some of these picks may surprise you. I think a couple of them are kind of bold, but overall, I pretty much stuck to an easier route. Maybe chose a couple dark horses here and there, but mainly stuck to stats over anything, and I guess the most obvious outcome. So, just gonna jump right into it. For the first round in the East, I have between Tampa Bay and the Columbus Blue Jackets. I have Tampa winning in 5 games, and the season series was, a complete sweep. Tampa won all 3 of their games, so between the Blue Jackets, it wasn't really much of a competition there, regular season-wise. And, Tampa is stacked in all areas. It's really no competition. I like the Blue Jackets. It's not, that I wouldn't want to see them win, but in my opinion, Tampa is just too strong of a team. So, moving on. Boston and Toronto. The series went 3-1 with Boston winning 3 of the games, and I picked Boston in 7, and, some people have been picking Toronto, and it's been kind of, mixed in people's opinions and what they're predicting, but I say it's the same outcome. Looking at Toronto, they're a hungry team, but their defense has just been questionable. Goaltending has been questionable, and Rask has had his issues too, but more than anything, I feel like Toronto has more average defense when you compare it to Boston. So matching those teams up together, I feel like it'll be a hard-fought series, be an exciting series, but Boston in 7. And moving on, Washington and Carolina. The season series between the Caps and the Hurricanes was 4-0. Caps completely sweeping them, and I was lucky enough to see the last game of that. And I put Washington in 5. Really, I would love to see the Carolina Hurricanes go far. It's a great underdog story. I'm really happy for them that they made it, but Washington just has too many weapons. They're more experienced, obviously. This is Carolina's first postseason trip in 10 years, and, Washington just won the Cup, so they do have a good team, though, the Carolina Hurricanes. They do have Aho. They have some questionable goaltending. McElhinney has been stellar for them. Obviously they've gotten to the playoffs, but, you match him up to Braden Holtby, and, I feel like Braden Holtby would win that goalie matchup there, so Caps in 5. Next series is the Pittsburgh Penguins and New York Islanders. The series between them has been tied this year in the regular season, but playoff-wise, I see Pittsburgh coming out on top. If they can solve the puzzle of the amazing goalie tandem that is Robin Lehner and Grice, then I see Pittsburgh coming out on top. The Islanders do have an amazing defensive system under Barry Trotz, and they've been playing really well defensively, but I just see Pittsburgh coming out on top here. You have to score to win games, so I feel like Pittsburgh is going to just find their way through. And if, Murray can stay stellar and things go their way, I definitely see Pittsburgh coming out in 7. Moving on to the West, we have Calgary and Colorado. The season series went with Calgary having a complete sweep of 3 games. I feel like this series is it's pretty for sure. It's one of those kind of like the Tampa Bay Columbus Blue Jackets series where, you just kind of know who's going to win, who's going to lose here. This isn't this in Colorado. They had arguably the best first line on all season. But looking at Calgary, they're a better defensive team. Overall, they're a better offensive team as well. Goaltending, a little questionable, but I would say the same goes for Colorado as well. So Calgary has also been just on a tear this season, been tearing it up in the West, and I just don't see Colorado advancing any further from here. Calgary in 5 is my prediction. Next series is the San Jose Sharks and Vegas Golden Knights. The season series was tied between these two teams, and arguably, Vegas hasn't been the same team this year. They've been kind of inconsistent. Yes, they have amazing goaltending with Marc-Andre Fleury in net, but some things are questionable as far as that team altogether. They've been a little streaky here and there. San Jose has been as well, but as far as like a team as a whole, I feel like San Jose is just a bigger juggernaut as far as an all-around team. They have Burns, they have Carlson on the back end, they have some big scoring threats in Pavelski, they have Joe Thornton, Logan Couture. It's endless. And really, I think that a lot of people are writing them off and thinking that they're not going to advance in this series, but I just feel like Vegas is kind of tired from last year still. They're kind of, still worn out, kind of recouping, and they just don't seem like the same team completely this year, and I mean, they're not. They've moved quite a few guys, so, I'd like to see Vegas win, but also I'd like to see San Jose win as well, because I'd like to see Joe Thornton get a cup as well before he retires. So the season series was tied between the two teams, so it was pretty even, but I see San Jose overcoming in 6. Next series is between Nashville and Dallas. The season series went with Nashville coming out on top, winning 3 out of the 5 games and losing 2. This has also been a series where it's kind of been, there's been some mixed reviews on it. Some people say Dallas, some people say Nashville. It's not really a for sure series, I feel like. But in my opinion, Nashville they haven't seemed like a team that could really go far this postseason. I mean, in the regular season, they had the worst power play. And thinking about that, I mean, you're going to need your special teams to really step up offensively, and that's going to be really key for your team winning, obviously. So I feel like Dallas is going to have a slight edge here. I feel like it's going to come down to goaltending, and I mean, Pecorine last year, he was just streaky in the postseason, and Ben Bishop has been really, really stellar for the Stars as of late, so I really see the Stars squeaking by on this one, but I feel like it'll be also a hard-fought series. I feel like Nashville won't go down very easily, but I feel like Dallas will still prevail in 7. Next series, we have the Winnipeg Jets and the St. Louis Blues. Winnipeg won 3 out of 4 games in the season series out of this one, and a lot of people may kind of be questioning this, but I feel like the St. Louis Blues are going to come out on top. Again, Winnipeg hasn't seemed like the same team that they were last year, and I feel like Patrick Laine just hasn't been the same offensively. I feel like he hasn't really been contributing like he was before, and Winnipeg just hasn't been clicking as a team overall as they were last season and postseason. So I feel like that the Blues are going to come out on top here. I feel like Jordan Bennington has just been so stellar for the Blues in net, and I feel like that, as a team, as a whole, the Blues are they have an advantage on the Winnipeg Jets. So even though, the Jets have home ice advantage and the Blues have been kind of an underdog this season, I see the Blues coming out on top on this one. But again, I feel like it'll be a longer series, ending in 7, with the Blues coming out on top. Second round, Boston and Tampa. Season series was Tampa winning 3 of 4 games. And I feel like that this is a team right here that could really, really beat Tampa. I feel like it's possible, but I really see Tampa just coming out on top. I don't see the Bruins getting past them. I mean, they're just a great team all around. Special teams, goaltending, offensive threat, defense has been stellar. So overall, the Tampa Bay Lightning just have it all. They have everything. And I just don't see the Bruins getting past them, even though the Bruins are one of the bigger, stronger teams. You're going to be having to play on your edges with them. You're going to be having to step up, checking a lot. You're going to have to be getting more physical when you face them. But I feel like the Tampa is just going to prevail here. I mean, they've got a lot to play for. They've got a lot of pressure. And yeah, I mean, Boston they have a lot of, guys getting older, and Chara is coming close to retiring and things. But like I said, Tampa is they've come too far, and they have way, way too much to play for here. So I feel like it's do or die for them. So Tampa in 6. Next series is Pittsburgh and Washington, and the season series between Washington and Pittsburgh is 3-1, with Pittsburgh having the edge. I feel like a lot of people are probably going to be saying Washington in this series. I mean, they won last year, they won the Cup, they have a lot to fight for, but looking back in history, I mean, Pittsburgh obviously beat Washington several times. before they were able to break through. So I feel like that, I mean, Washington beating them 2 times in a row seems a little far-fetched. Really not trying to sound biased here, but as many times as it took them to beat Pittsburgh, it just doesn't seem very likely. So I have Pittsburgh winning in 7. I feel like the series is going to come down to goaltending, and they definitely have the offensive threats on both sides. They don't have a problem scoring, so I feel like it's really going to just come down to who can be the tightest defensively and to keep the pucks out of the net. So the next series is between the Calgary Flames and San Jose Sharks. I definitely chose the underdog in this series. Calgary has been more so of a juggernaut. I mean, even though the season series was tied, they came out on top in the West, and they're probably looked at as the favorites coming out of the West. But I feel like San Jose is just going to be making a last-minute push, as a lot of their players are getting older. And I mean, as much as I'd like to see Johnny Gaudreau get a cup as well, I feel like that San Jose is going to have an edge, be lights out when they need to. And obviously with the new addition of Erik Karlsson on the back end, I feel like it's going to come down to defense. And yeah, Calgary has Giordano. San Jose is going to come out on top. So I had San Jose in 6. Moving on, Dallas Stars and St. Louis Blues. The season series between the two teams was 3-1 Dallas. And again, I'm choosing, well, I guess both of these are underdogs, but I would say even more, St. Louis would be even more of an underdog here in this situation, as they haven't even won a cup, and we're towards the bottom at the beginning of the season. So matching these two goaltenders up, obviously St. Louis has had, stellar goaltending, as I said, in Jordan Binnington, and Ben Bishop has also been amazing for Dallas this season too, but I feel like as a whole, St. Louis Blues are going to come out on top here over Dallas. They've been playing great hockey as of late. They finished the season out strong, so I feel like St. Louis Blues are going to have the edge in this series. I thought it was going to be a longer series, so I put St. Louis in 7. Round 3, we have the San Jose Sharks and St. Louis Blues. And the season series between the two teams was San Jose winning 2 out of 3 games. Really, I mean, when you look at these two teams, they're both kind of like underdog teams when you compare them to, the juggernauts, Tampa and Boston, Calgary, Pittsburgh. Looking at it, both teams, I feel like, are going to have a lot to fight for at this point, and it's going to be a hard-fought series. I feel like it's going to go to 7 games for sure. I see the St. Louis Blues coming out on top in this one as well. I feel like San Jose is just going to be really tired at this point. They've had quite a few longer seasons than St. Louis Blues. St. Louis Blues are more rested, and plus their goalie has played a lot less as well, so I feel like he's going to be more rested overall. And yeah, I think the Blues are going to be victorious in this series. Moving on, we have Pittsburgh and Tampa. Last time we saw these two teams together, Pittsburgh prevailed, beat the Lightning, but this team, I mean, it's pretty obvious who's going to be beating who. Tampa is just too good this year, and I really feel like they're not going to be denied. They're going to play Pittsburgh, to the bitter end, and they're going to prevail. So Lightning obviously won in regular season, 2-1 on Pittsburgh, and I see the Lightning winning in 6. Moving on to the Stanley Cup Final, have the Lightning and the St. Louis Blues. One heck of a series, I'm telling you, that would be. Anyways, the regular season series was tied 1-1 as the teams only faced each other 2 times. Looking at it, like I said before, both teams have stellar goaltending, have had, and I feel like that these games will be lower scoring, even though, obviously Lightning have the ability to score. I mean, that's not the issue, but St. Louis Blues just have, really good goaltending as well. So overall, I see Lightning obviously coming out on top here. St. Louis Blues, I mean, for them, it would just be amazing to just go to the Stanley Cup Final, as, they haven't been in a very long time. So I feel like that for that team, that would be amazing in itself. But for the Lightning, as they've been, in the Stanley Cup Finals and fighting for a cup for a long time now in contention, they're hell-bent on winning a cup. So I definitely see Tampa winning in 6 games. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too drawn out for you, and if you want, just let me know your predictions below. I definitely enjoy hearing everyone's opinions. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.